Describe workflow that they'll implement regardless of the data that they're monitoring. And then, separate from that, write requirements that bind this data agnostic model to specific data domains so that vendors can, what I like to say, gently instrument their product to support the data agnostic model. And then we have separate specifications so they can selectively support different data domains, or that government customers can selectively procure the ability to monitor different data domains. Now, the high priority domains, there are 3 of them. I'm embarrassed to say what they are, because we should have, could have solved these years and years ago, and there are much more fun things to look at and work on. But the 3 high priority data domains are, and you can just guess what they are, I'm sure, asset management, configuration management, and vulnerability management. That's what the ICMC, that's what DHS has said, these are the priorities. So that is what we plan to deliver by end of October, that higher level data agnostic specification and model, and the bindings to asset management, configuration management, and vulnerability management. So here's some other domains that we can support. I really want to do other stuff, but that's okay. They pay me. Here's my description of continuous monitoring. So I'll let you read that. Pointing out that we're maintaining an accurate picture of a security risk posture, visibility into assets, leveraging automated data feeds, but possibly not even using them exclusively. We certainly need to measure effectiveness of security controls, but hopefully in a quantitative way, and enabling prioritization of remedies. So here, like cloud, I pulled out some essential characteristics, and from this, I'm going to drive down into that model, into the specifications, so that products can actually be built, and products can actually be procured. Can we do this? The answer is, we've already done a lot of it. We are well on our way, even though the details are not published yet. I held a meeting in March 21. My manager wanted me to hold a workshop on continuous monitoring. I really didn't advertise it very much. Sent it out to a couple email lists. 400 people showed up. I was surprised. And that shows a lot of interest in this model. And so we better solve it. Here's an NSA diagram that I modified. I liked their diagram, and yeah, the text is too small, and forgive me, I would never make a diagram like this. This is very DoD-ish. But what I did is, there we go. I like the DoD, by the way. I have short hair too. Good comeback. Good comeback. Thank you. So they like to talk about people, process, technology, environment. We're going to collect data from these sources, hopefully automated, hopefully standardized, but maybe not. We're going to stick it in a repository. Ideally, we want that raw data in this lowest level repository so that we can create findings for many different policies. And then we want to do some focused aggregation up to higher tiers to support higher levels of decision making. We're not aggregating, please do not send up all the raw data. It's been tried, it won't work, there's too much data, you don't have the storage or the throughput. But if we can do a focused aggregation, and then we enable the capability to do ad hoc queries going back down, to maybe ask some questions about the higher level data, and get then a focused response back, that would be a very useful capability. Now, if you send all the data up, you've got a security nightmare also. Also, the data is freshest right at the leaf nodes where it's collected. So anyway, so there's our enterprise architecture view. Notice we're supporting lots of different decision makers who are being driven by lots of different drivers, different policies. So we have lots of policy management going on here. And so we really need to support the ability to evaluate our policies against a repository of raw data. Now, here is the continuous monitoring system instance model that we put in the publication. This has evolved greatly since then, but I'm just displaying what's publicly published. Not that I have to hide the other stuff either. I work at NIST. I don't have time to explain this. I just know that there's a system model here. Notice here we're looking at definitely hierarchical architectures because the government really is that big. We are looking at the interfaces between the different subsystems. Who needs to talk to who and about what? And what drives the interface decisions is this data agnostic workflow that we've designed that needs to occur in any continuous monitoring instance. So we're getting into some of the science work here. We're looking at multi-instance communication, that hierarchical communication. How does that have to occur? When we get to vendor products, when I talk to vendors, they say, yeah, we do continuous monitoring. And they do, for their own sensors and their own console. But do they do it for a diverse set of security tools? Well, yeah, there's some security tools that aggregate from lots of different security sensors and into one database. So what don't they do that we need them to do? They do not support hierarchical aggregation of that data. They typically have all the security sensors going into one database, and there you go. And if you're a vendor and you do support hierarchical aggregation of the data, very good. Come talk to me. Next is the ability to orchestrate control of all your security collection devices. You may have a console that orchestrates control for a single vendor. But can you orchestrate control of diverse security tools from a single point and really have them work together? When you collect the data, is it really normalized? Now, a vendor might convert lots of different sensor data into their own proprietary representation. And that's good. But then, what if another organization within the agency is using a different aggregator? Can you compare that data? No. What if you need to aggregate that data up between the agency organizations and then between multiple agencies? Is it likely that we can get multiple agencies to use the same aggregation software? Absolutely not. The government's a big place. We're all going to use different tools, and we need the tools to work together. It was proposed at one point that we procure a single tool for the entire government. So no, it's not going to work. Homeland Security is going to do a blanket purchase agreement for continuous monitoring. They want to leverage this work for their blanket purchase agreement so that they don't have to procure a single tool for the entire government and ask all the agencies to use it. The idea is to allow the agencies to use multiple tools that can work together, that will need to be gently instrumented, that will need to be validated, that they correctly instrument the specifications that the government can purchase. And the trick for me is, how do I write the specifications for the vendors so that so the specifications are as easy to implement as possible and yet minimally meet what the government needs? And that is a delicate balance, and that is where NIST, I think, can shine, because we have a long history of working with the vendor community. So we met in March to talk about it. The feedback